welcome everybody. It is time for another special event with my good friend David Prince, because it's been a chaotic time in the market. So we need David in here to explain to everyone what's going on. But before we get started, we want everybody to just say hi in the chat. We want to make sure everybody's here, ready to learn. Let us know where you are watching from. We are very excited, and we got a fun comment here. Cheers, get us through this rebalance. So David, how are you doing today? I'm going to assume you're in a pretty good mood. It seemed like the market treated you well today. How are you doing?
So I lost a personal friend who's like a wonderful guy last night, and I'm on zero sleep. And life is short, and you better appreciate every moment, because this wonderful 55-year-old super successful guy that had a ton to live for with two young kids died yesterday, and I haven't slept. Work-wise, I had an absolutely phenomenal day, but let's just say mentally I'm a little shot and down. That's the truth. But yes, it was a good day in the markets.
Okay, David. Well, I'm sorry for your loss. And if anybody's wondering, David was talking about Rob Stone, who was the co-founder of the Fader magazine and absolutely a legend in hip hop. And
oh, you know Rob? Okay, I didn't even know you know Rob. Okay.
Yeah, David, okay. I know what's going on. I pay attention. No, I actually do know Rob because I follow that whole universe. Okay. Yeah, very sad. Just 55 years old. So let's go through our agenda for today. So biggest thing is to introduce you to David Prince and the Inner Circle VTF in case you don't know him. Well, I'm sure many of you follow him on Twitter, but we want you to get to know him more. We're going to show you how his community has been doing. We want his game plan heading into July, of course. And also, we're going to go over later why this week is pivotal for traders. And stick around, because David is going to offer something he's never offered before, and we are really excited about. So let's tell you a little bit about David and the Inner Circle VTF. So who is David Prince? So David was a nightclub owner in the 1990s, of all things. Then he entered the financial industry in 1997. He became a hedge fund manager. He helped put, somebody's telling me my mic is low. He helped put SPACs on the map. He worked with Jamba Juice, American Apparel, Immunome, Hydrofarm, and in 2020, he partnered with T3 to create the Inner Circle virtual trading floor. And what is the Inner Circle? So it's an exclusive trading room and community for hedge fund managers, family office heads, corporate executives, financial advisors, pro traders, and more. And it's a room where we require a $100,000 minimum account size to join and 2 years of experience. It's led by David, Kira Turner, and Rick March. And here are some real tweets from Inner Circle members. We show testimonials all the time, but we think it's fun when people just spontaneously post things out on Twitter. Here's one person who's private. Thank you, DP. What an amazing day. Surgical precision. David thrives in volatility. Another one, and just to be clear, Keanu Reeves is not an Inner Circle member just yet, but Jack said 100% agree. Just signed up for another year. Such a special place. Hitesh said they work beautifully more often than not. He's referencing David's ideas. Jesse said, not sure how he does it, but I'm constantly impressed with his feel for the market. And Sam said, IC room is awesome. Been trading for 25 plus years. Amount I've learned from David, Rick, and Kira about laying out a plan and legging in has helped me become better than I thought. Okay, so we're going to go through some recent IC highlights. As we said before, it's been kind of a turbulent time in the market. So we're going to break this up into three phases. First, quickly, what David did post NFP on June 7th, how he played the semi-collapse, which was the big news last week, and what he did today, including a trade he just made an hour ago. And important to be clear, not every idea works. Inner Circle has losers like anywhere else, but the focus there is getting out fast. Because everybody has losers, it's how you deal with them that matters. So David, we're going to wind the clock back to June 7th. We had that hot jobs number, and you were jumping on puts immediately on the open. So could you tell us a little bit about what you did there?
Sure. So I had like a normal amount of positions, but one position I had that I was kind of hoping would do well would be actually the IWM. And I was like, I don't know with this hot report if we can really get off the mat and really finally break out. It's been good to us, and we owned it when it was down at 165, 170. But everyone's looking for that next move above 210. And I thought, this number's hot. I just don't know if it's going to do it. Let me be flat. And then I thought, let me be proactive. Let me not just be flat. If I get a reactionary type bounce after the market opens, because it opened on lows and we bounce $1.50, you know what? It's a Friday, right? You don't have to pay a lot of time for options. Let's throw some puts on. So I threw on IWN puts into a bounce, which we do on a lot of Fridays because you're not paying the same amount for volatility for IB. And I guess they worked out really well.
Yeah, and folks, just so we're clear, the Inner Circle Room uses the term lotto puts when it's a short-term option where we're talking sort of moderate risk but very high reward potential. That's why you'll see the word lottos on the screen sometimes. Okay,
yeah, I want to say, like, our room is not about like cute lottos and zero DTE and all that silliness. But if I can take advantage of the way a day lands, in other words, I see a big move in a stock that typically has huge premiums in the options and it's on a Friday, then why not take advantage of it? But we also are cognizant that when you're only allowing yourself one day for something to work, to some degree, it is a lotto. So that's how we do it. And hell, it's been a godsend for us. But the point is, we do them, and if there is such thing as a responsible lotto, that's how we handle it.
Okay, all right. So let's wind back to the semiconductor drop last Thursday. Now, as you guys will see, we try to show as many comments directly from the room and what people say on Twitter as possible, so you can kind of hear it from other people's point of view. So David, you and Kira in particular were all over shorting tech and the semis. You could see the comments. You were shorting ARM, SMCI, AMD, and we put a chart of the Qs up. So why did you believe in jumping on that early weakness?
So actually, it was early strength. And what I basically saw was I kind of planned out the week last week, and I said, all right, this is getting a bit bubbly. NVIDIA is leading us to the promised land. And with NVIDIA, we're seeing ARM fly. We're seeing Micron fly. A lot of stocks I've been in, including Broadcom, which had went up like 300 points in a straight line. I said, I'm not comfortable with this. I think if anything, you have to hedge yourself with longs, especially in semis. And moreover, I think there's a way to play offense and get short these stocks. So I had a trailer and an NVIDIA long, and I thought, I don't want to give money away, but I'd like to hold a little bit. You know what? I'm going to start buying puts. So I started a bit early knowing it, because if you try and catch the top in NVIDIA, you're not going to catch it the same way you're not going to catch the bottom. So I started puts in NVIDIA 132s on Tuesday. I added to them on Thursday. And then Thursday morning, I said, rather than go after an NVIDIA, which I really want to own if it ever pulls back, I want to take advantage of this insanity. And we looked at ARM trading at 85 relative strength, which in its short history is one of its highest relatives. I think it might be the highest it's ever been. And I told Kira in the morning, I said, there's no such thing as a no-brainer, but this is about the best short opportunity I see. So we shorted at pre-market 174s. And I don't know, by the time it opened, it was like 165, 166. And I covered early for like 10 points or something, but eventually it went to like 155. The puts on NVIDIA eventually paid off quite well as well. And per usual, when I'm short via puts, a stock I really love long-term, I get out a little bit early. So I think by Friday, I close those puts very profitably, but not what they would have been had I held them till yesterday. But basically, I looked at the sector being led by the leader. I saw NVIDIA at 83, 84 RSI. I saw ARM at 85. I saw Broadcom in short order go up 300 points. And I thought, let's not only hedge ourselves, let's play some offense. And I did that with Q. I had a big Q short, and then I guess the lottos we're going to talk about.
Yeah. So there was also a big lotto puts trade that day where you guys got in the Qs early. And they skyrocketed.
I actually remembered. I can walk you through it because some of these I'm not going to remember. I'm not going to BS. And this one's only a week ago, so I'll remember it. So the Qs kept trying to pull back, right? We'd go from like 485, 486 to like 482, 483, about 483. And we couldn't get underneath that spot. And I thought, God, this isn't even a pullback. This is not a sneeze. This is like a nosage. But these stocks are really overbought. And I thought, I've been waiting for this since Tuesday. I think it's going to happen today. Now, I might be wrong. I don't want to go out and short the float in Qs. How can I take advantage of this? And I thought, well, I think it's going to happen this afternoon. So I looked at the options that expire for that day, even though it was a Thursday, it's the Qs, so they have daily. And we bought those options for 30 cents. And like usual, I got out at $1.50. They went up several 100%, but I think they went to 3. So, but it's a way we can take advantage of timing. I was also short the Qs and maybe add a little alpha to the entire trade.
Okay. All right. So then you also added back Apple last week before the pop. So David, let's try to, we have a lot of stuff to cover. So let's try to blaze through these a little bit.
Okay. This one will go quick. Rebalance Friday, right? So we had a rebalance. Everyone that kind of pays any attention to the market knew XLK. There's going to be a buyer in Nvidia. There might be a seller in Apple and Microsoft. Apple had been good to us, as many other people were long it. And I said, well, after taking some profits between 212 and 215, I thought if this ever pulls back, I'll be a buyer again. I really don't think this big breakout is a 1 week event. So sellers came in last 10 minutes, stock traded all the way down to 208, and I aggressively bought the stock. I can't say I bought it at lows. I think it went to like 207 or 207.50, but I bought it aggressively at 208. Monday happened, big bounce to 212. We sold most of it, and that's your Apple trade. We also bought a bunch of calls that I think traded well off that.
Oh, okay. All right. So great play on Apple there, because a lot of people were getting worried about Apple. Okay. So you also were in Q puts before the drop last week. Now, and it did seem like people were getting a little bit euphoric. And again, this was before that big June 20th drop. So what were you seeing out there that made you jump in here?
A really narrow market led by some incredible stocks that were all at very high extremes that they rarely get to. And when it actually makes your life easy, when there's not a lot of rotation and Snowflake's dead and CRM's dead, and there are only a few big software stocks like Crowd working, you just have to go to the semis that are leading us and see Broadcom is at 80. And there were like 7 stocks at 80 relative strength that were the entire Qs that I thought, well, if I wait till they turn, like there's one thing about, I want to express how we trade. We are in a great bull market, right? It's been going on for a long time now. I have found the people who wait for weakness in the great bull market to short are on the wrong side, get stuffed, and that's where you got to buy. So the only time I really get short right now, and I know a lot of, especially the inexperienced traders, going to be like, you can't short strength and all that silliness, but you can actually short strength if you actually know what you're doing, especially if you have rules and you do it through options sometimes. I said, if there's a time to get short, it's now. So when we do pull back, we can look for some decent buys. So I just saw a little bit of exuberance, some insane RSIs, and I thought, I'm not going to wait till we turn down to do it because, well, best example, and there were people telling everyone, Nvidia was over yesterday. The market is pulling back, and anyone who got short yesterday got decimated today. So I really do try and short overbought into that strength and not wait for like 100-point reversal on whatever stock to get short.
Okay. Our friend Shark. Okay. All right. Thank you, David. Okay. So Shark, our friend on Twitter, is asking, what is 80 relative strength? David was referring to the RSI.
Daily RSI, I set it to 14.
Yeah, you can find RSI on any trading platform. Okay, so we want to bring up live chat from the room so you can see what people who are paying for Inner Circle right now are actually saying. And again, last week was one of the hardest weeks of the year, and pay close attention to the message you see on top. DP, thank you so much for being loud this week on what you saw coming, because occasionally David does get loud in the room because he wants everybody to be clear on what's happening in the market. And if you have trouble shorting, which a lot of people do, definitely stay on to this presentation, because we're going to go through more examples of when you need to cool off. Okay, David, so we're going to talk about what happened today. And now this is literally 2:45 today. David got long Snap calls, and they're up over 50% now. So David, Snap is one of the hardest stocks in the market. This stock has destroyed more people than I don't know what. So what made you jump into Snap?
Snap was a huge winner for us a couple months ago after a blockbuster quarter for them, right? That they haven't seen a solid quarter in a long time. We had a sizable position in stock, some calls, but mostly stock in the 13s, and rode it all the way to 17. And I've been in and out of it and kind of basically out of most of my positions since 17. Light trading here and there, but it's kind of been basing between 15 and 16, not doing a lot. And today I looked at the stock because I keep track of a lot of stocks. I just saw strength. I saw a chart that looked phenomenal, and I saw heavy volume. And I thought, do I want to get sad that I didn't have the patience to buy it back and sit in it when it's at 17 or buy it through a high? Or do I want to take a shot here and minimize my risk by doing it through options? So I actually brought it up to the chat. I said, I think it's time for Snap again. It was 1620. So the chart looks great. And my partner said, why don't we do kind of far out of the money for Snap, far out of the money calls. So they were cheapies. We picked the 17s, gave us a couple of weeks. Chart looked great. Huge volume in these options. We bought them at 22 cents. And as you said, the stock went up another 40. What was great is about a stock like Snap, if you buy it and you time it right, a 40-cent move in the stock actually produced like a 60 or 70% move in the option. That's what happened.
Okay. Yeah. Amazing 70% gain on Snap there. So David, we're going to talk about another stock. This one might even be harder than Snap and Palantir. So ENVX today had a big short squeeze on sort of a mystery deal announcement, and you wrote it from 12 to 14 plus. So again, why even play a stock like this?
Well, first off, because we wrote it originally from 780. So if you go back a couple months ago, they signed a huge OEM customer, and the stock traded the largest volume of the year. And I said, this is a pivotal moment. Because it's kind of a story stock. A lot of people think it'll go bankrupt. A lot of people think it is one of the most important technology companies that no one knows about. And I said, I don't really care about all of that. What I care about is that it's not where my real money goes. I'm more of a big cap guy. But if you look at some of these story stocks, if you look at specifically small cap stocks, this produced a pattern you see over and over again when a stock is bottomed and is primed for a much larger move higher. Affirm, Carvana, Snap all have these massive green candles followed by months of grinding higher and higher and higher to several 100%. So when ENVX had the same thing, a candle that was like a 40% candle and it ate, I said, got to be long. We wrote it pretty well till about 12, and then it's just been sitting there back and forth like 12.50 to 11 and back to 12. Then recently I got involved under 12 again. I think it was 11.70 to 12. And frankly, they've been pointing to coming announcements. And it is the type of stock that has a lot of cultists involved. And I don't say that in a bad way, but people who believe in the technology, that this battery they create is something that has never been done, that will be in EVs, that'll be in cell phones. So when you put that type of spicy story together with a huge amount of short interest, and people are sick of buying Nvidia every day and Amazon every day, you sometimes get the perfect storm. We got a monster announcement about them being in these new vision wear, like the type of thing that Meta has, the type of thing that Google has, these glasses, and they didn't name the customer, and people went wild. There's huge short interest, and I sold this. I think I sold it at $14.75. What is it now? It's like $16.50. It's like I was psyched, but stock just kept going. So sometimes I keep track of these stories because usually they lead to more. Whether or not this company ends up being one of the most important tech companies, like I know a guy who's a household name money manager, friend of mine. We chat. This guy's on CNBC every week, and he's a bona fide rock star. A lot of people on this webinar read his books. The guy loves it. And I know other people are really bright who are like, this is the most cockamamie story in the world. What I try and do is separate all that and think, okay, do they have enough cash to stay in business? Is this a pattern in the news flow that I maybe can rely on to make money? And the answer has been yes. So that's why it's been a focus for the last couple of months.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, so guys, I hope you really appreciate how good David is at trading these these wacky stocks, and I'll actually pull up a comment from Twitter from our friend Joe B, and we'll actually cover this specifically later on, but he said, David is the man, called an SMCI reversal in real time when it was up 100, then it plummeted $200 or so. So again, if you guys have trouble handling these sort of wild story stocks, you should be paying very close attention. So David, Apple. So this was a big one for overnight into today. Now, a lot of people have been confused at Apple. It hit like 220, came back down. What did you see in Apple that made you go for it?
So everyone saw the original breakout, right, on the AI announcement through 200, and we go to 220 in short order. And then there has to be a digestion phase, right? And I think maybe more novice traders, I'm sure, the experienced ones expected this. Like, you don't just, a company Apple size doesn't just go to 220 and keep going up every day. It's kind of a slow growth company trying to reinvigorate itself and, hopefully get a massive upgrade with this new iPhone cycle. But anyway, the point is, so there's a little bit of digestion. During that digestion, I think there's a lot of buyers underneath. I'm one of them. So there was some disappointment yesterday when it reversed from 212, went all the way back to 208. I saw some averages there. I saw the bottom of a candle. Bottom line, if you go back a couple of days ago, there's a candle that shows you it really should hold the 206s. Worst case, if we break that area, you're going to test I believe it's the 21 day at 200. So when I saw it pull back yesterday, I said, I'm not giving up on it. I think it's an opportunity to get involved. Do I want to buy tons of stock? No, I'm looking at what's going on with Nvidia. How do I manage that risk and take advantage? Well, great way is to buy some calls, a little bit of time. Then we bought calls, got that great bounce today, a couple of strong calls. I don't know if it was Evercore, but a couple firms were out very bullish on AI with Apple and how it's going to move phones. So stock ran, options went up, I don't know, 40, 50%, and I sold most of them.
Okay, beautiful. Okay, so Amazon. So I know you've been in multiple sets of Amazon calls lately, and you've been in Amazon bull most of the year. So what did you like about Amazon?
So going back since it's been like 140, I've been pretty involved. And I basically just like the fact that here's a company that is firing on all cylinders, has one of the largest advertising businesses in the world. That just like came about. That obviously is so profitable because of AWS, because retail is obviously a loss leader, or used to be. And everything's hitting. Retail's hitting, advertising business is now big, AWS is showing renewed growth, and yet the stock, I'm not the only one to see this, was below 2021 lows. And after a cute little breakout above that 188 and 189, we pulled back, and I thought, it's not done. Like, I still think they're firing on all cylinders. It's got to be bought. So we were pretty aggressive dip buyers. Now, the only issue is it can't seem to break out between that 188, 191 and stick and go higher to 200 like a lot of us think it should. So what I've constantly done is when it's ugly and everyone thinks it's over, I've been a buyer. I own some stock too, 182 area, and I've been buying, calls when it's down there. And those calls, I think that you showed at 2, they actually were at 3, I think yesterday or the day before. Whatever day it hit 190, I sold a bunch of those at 190. So I continue to stick with the theme that Amazon should break through that 191, be a $200 stock, be more like a $210 stock. They're throwing off more cash flow by far than they ever have. They are fiscally very responsible right now after cutting all the fat, selling planes, closing, warehouses. They're really in good shape. And I think Jassy's a rock star. People forget. If it wasn't for him, there wouldn't be an AWS. I know Jeff Bezos is wonderful and all, but AWS is the profit engine. So I'm still a big fan. I just think in this type of market where we've come so far, I don't want to say this too cute, but I really mean this. As an investor, I think it pays to be somewhat of an artist and not just a trader where, it's a breakout, I got to buy higher. Because I actually keep telling people we've come so far, you can't chase moves. You can't just buy high, look for the next sucker to buy higher than you. So that's how Amazon's been good to us. I mean, I screamed at a few people yesterday like, Amazon, do we buy more? I'm like, no, it's 190. I hope it just keeps going, but you can't buy more now. That's not the market we're in today. And hopefully most people would agree. That's what I'm good at, is recognizing the climate so we can kind of dictate our actions accordingly.
Okay. Okay. So everybody, make sure you have Amazon on your radar. David said it could hit 200. So David, safe to say Amazon buyable on dips. Is that fair?
Yeah, no, I really feel strongly about it. I'm not the biggest bull on the market, but if there's a big cap stock that I think has a move left in it, that from a valuation perspective, I can actually come up with some reasons why it works. Amazon is one of the few. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So let's switch back to the semiconductors. So Nvidia had a big move overnight. I saw you, Rick, and Kira all played it in different ways. So yesterday, everybody was worried that maybe the AI thing is over and maybe it's time for Nvidia to take a nap for a while. So why'd you go out on a limb here?
Because I was excited. So on a serious note, though, it's because everyone has their shtick that they're kind of good at. I'm good at following the leaders when it's time to buy them if the story hasn't changed. Nvidia, if you remember, we started last week by holding the trailer, buying a bunch of puts, and betting that it was going low. And everyone on the chart, I shouldn't say everyone, but most people who have charts, I'm sure, looked and saw there was a 21 day at about 120-ish. We had a pivot at 117 where it bottomed right after the split, the day of the split. It hit 117 and then turned. I remember it well because I bought stock when it was down 4 because it was equivalent of 40. And I said, inner circle, hey, I'm buying some. I hope it goes lower. It turned out to go straight up to 140 after. So let's bring it back. So we had 3 days down of about a 16% move from highs. And I told everyone, here's what I see. I see a stock that potentially could go down 22%. And just like April, when it plummeted from 975 to 756, I want to be an aggressive buyer. But if it can go down 22% in April, then now that it's about 60, 70% higher than then, right? Don't get confused by the stock price. Everyone knows it's split. Then it can happen again. So we have to plan for it and be responsible. So I looked at 3 days down, 16% move, and said really clearly, I don't think they're going to make it easy. This is Nvidia. This is the market. They are firing on all cylinders. I don't have to explain to people what they do or how they can't keep up with sales. I get it. Eventually they'll slow down, but they ain't slowing down right now. So I looked at it and said, what are the chances people are buying? What are the chances it's going to open up tomorrow? I'd love a 4th day down, but it's only gone down 4 days in a row, one time this year. So what are the odds that happens again? Probably really small. So I have to size up enough that if we have a big rally on the open, I'm in. So I aggressively bought the stock yesterday. Every time it bounced 2 or 3, we'd sell some. And I told people, I said, I just have a gut feeling it may plummet at the close. So at the close, I was buying pretty aggressively, honestly, 118s. Then we saw 116s in the after hours. I bought more. I heard it was 115s and never got 115s, but I bought 116s. And here's what I told Inner Circle. I said, I believe that if you look at the previous highs, pre the split, it comes in at about 115, right? If you don't have the chart up, but it comes in about 115. I believe we'll get near that area, probably bounce 7 or 8 points. I honestly didn't say 10 points. We'll probably bounce 7 or 8 points. And if this correction is to continue, we might eventually land between 106 and 110. But I don't see it going down in a straight line. It just doesn't make sense. There are too many people that miss this move in the market. There's too much cash out there, and the fundamentals are still too good. So I got very aggressive, and I'm still long stock, but yesterday's highs were 124. So I basically said by the time it's 124, I'm going to be much smaller. So now it's 127, and I'm pretty small from yesterday's buys. And that's Nvidia.
Okay, all right. So we're going to give a little thank you to our good friend Candace. So I would say Candace is definitely one of our VIPs, one of our favorite customers. So she said, this is a real tweet yesterday afternoon. She said, this afternoon, big thanks to David for his precognition / gut rea Nvidia, saying if it's 115, he would sit longer and expect a 7-point bounce. So again, this is a real person just spontaneously thanking David in public. And yeah, you can find this tweet if you're creative with your searching. So awesome move. So we're going to move on to some of the 2024 SMC highlights. Our friend Joe talked about SMCI, and the whole Inner Circle family, we owes a thank you to SMCI for all the crazy opportunities in that stock this year. It's been a gold mine. So we're going to get to that in a second. But so David had a beautiful bottom tick on Nvidia back in April. But, people are saying, David, great call. But let's go to SMCI, since this is sort of the stock of the year. So you and Rick were buying this under around 340, and this is that day it really went wild. So David, could you walk us through what happened here?
Sure. SMCI pre-announces the quarter and gave some guidance. The guidance was so good that when you did the numbers, I just punched them in. I was like, what the F? The company is growing like insane. We're talking Nvidia type growth, and obviously it's involved with Nvidia, well over 100%, but it's trading at 15 times earnings. And I said to Inner Circle, either this stock is a complete fraud and they're going out of business, or it's going up at least 100 points in the next few days, because it was just too cheap and the growth was there, and they're riding the most important trend out there in terms of AI and Nvidia. And yeah, I'm not going to get a lot of calls like that. I saw 100% growth. I saw crazy guidance, and I saw a stock where I did the numbers trading at 15 times earnings. I was like, okay, it's either a complete fraud going out of business, or it's got to go higher. There's no in between. That was my gut.
Okay, all right. And just so you can see the chart, David specifically said out loud, and this is one of those moments where he's screaming at everybody, and some new members kind of
this part I remember. I can tell you. This where. Yeah. All right, so Inner Circle is like a family. It's not about the stock picking. It's about how to manage money, because any schmuck can figure out good stocks. It's about how to actually run your money, right? When to sell, buy. Like buying Nvidia yesterday, like a bunch of people probably knew to do that. It's how they do it. It's whether they sold it all at 121 this morning or actually held some for 124 and 127. So this day was when some people learned how to manage money for real. So we were buying pre-market, and the low I paid, I remember, was 339. I have like a photographic memory, so I remember that, because I said if it gets under 340, I'm going to have a full position. Got to 338. I bought some 339. Anyway, make a long story short, it's 380. Everyone is up in about like 20 minutes. I don't know the time there to be exact, but they're up in short order, 40, 50 points. And everyone's all getting. And this is where I actually say we do things differently. On the mic, I said, you can be cute, you can be a trader, and you can count your money, or you can hold a winner that is still too cheap and doesn't make a lot of sense, because I really believe this is going over 400. And the key is to have the fortitude to actually not count your money, but trade the stock. And there's no signal to just get out. Trim some. You just made 40, 50 points in minutes, but you better hold some. And most of the chat did.
Yeah, this was one of those legendary Inner Circle days. Yeah, you could see here, somebody said, thank you for the call out under 340. Thank you, made my morning. And yeah, somebody said at 360, you said 400. So David was literally screaming at everybody, this thing is going to 400, and was definitely a great dose. So then there was the other SMCI Grand Slam, which might have been the trade of the year, where SMCI's RSI hit something like 97, 98. And David was yelling at everybody again, this is going down. So David, let's talk about the grand SMCI put trade back in February.
Sure. I started getting short the stock at like 1050 or something, 1,000. And I was actually off by like 40, 50 points. And I said, listen, this is for, in the chat, you got people managing lots of money. So I said, most people can handle this, but if you're not comfortable shorting a stock and you can't be down 30, 40 points, do not short SMCI, right? Like this, you don't need to do it. But I'm pretty comfortable here. I think risk reward sets up well. But that started on a Thursday, and that Friday, coincidentally, is when I sensed there would be a change. So SMCI opens up at like, what was it, 1,100 or something? I can't even remember. Either 1050 or 1,100. And I'm sized up in stock, but we all chat, and I said, at 97 relative strength, I've seen this happen one time in my life with GME. I don't think this is GME. I think it's a real company with real earnings, but I don't think by any stretch of the imagination, a company with this size market cap can stay at 97 RSI. The only time I see that is with a small biotech stock that maybe has 3 million shares where there's no stock to sell or that is so heavily shorted. I said, that's not this. There's a real market cap, right? 50 billion at the time, whatever it is. He said, it's just, the math doesn't add up. It's got to pull back. My gut is it happens today. Now, can I go tell you to short the hottest stock in the market and just ruin your life? No, but you can certainly on a Friday buy some puts. So we pretty aggressively bought the it was over 1100. We bought the 1050 puts. Remind me, this is so long ago. It was 1100, I think, and we bought the 1050 puts, right? We bought the 950. It's so long ago. The bottom line, right? I'm going to just cut to the chase here. We bought puts 100 points beneath where the market was. The stock went down 75. I held my short. We bought, I believe they were the 950 puts. We bought them for under 3. I think we were all out of them by 100. They went to 150. I covered my complete short at about 880, 890. If I am correct, someone could go back and look. Pretty short closed that day at like 800. And puts we bought for like $3 went to 150. It was a magical call. Part of it is because it landed on a Friday, so we could buy options without paying all that time. But it was, it was a special moment.
Yeah, wild day.
Sorry, it's just months ago, so I can't remember if it was 1050 or 11.
Yeah. So David, I think the confusion there was some people were buying $1,000 puts, some were buying 950, some were buying 900. Percentage of the option volume was just from Inner Circle because everybody was just hoovering up.
I'm not going to BS. It's gotten a little bit big. Like today, I had that issue where I bought some options on a stock and they'd only traded like 70. And the next thing I know, I mentioned it and we traded like, literally I saw like 2 or 3. It was 70 options the whole day. And then it traded another 3,000. So we probably were a lot, but SMCI is also a big stock. So who knows? But anyway, it was one of the better days we've ever had. I hope I find one like that again because it changed a few lives forever.
Okay, and guys, and we want to be clear that Inner Circle, it's not just about day trades. It's not just about cute lotto trades. Of course, everybody likes to make big money. We all want to make those big trades, but some things also play out over time, and we want you to see some of those ideas as well. So, David, you've been all over Amazon this year. You said it was going to 188. It hit 191 recently. You've talked about, now, was this all about that ad business you've been talking about?
No, it was definitely about a perfect combination of a stock being below 2021 lows, hitting on all cylinders, having a couple great quarters to back it up, seeing spending in cloud go up via Microsoft and Amazon, seeing a lot of the security companies having good things to say. And I just thought the stock price doesn't equal the news flow. Here's something we can own and actually have an edge with and not feel like we're chasing. And I stuck with it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Amazon, a great, if anything you could buy and hold this year, Amazon's one of them. Okay. So biotech. And guys, remember, biotech has fallen apart. But, David came into 2024 with a $101 target on XBI. And it actually hit 103.52 earlier in the year. Our friend Jake W. said Epic Trades has absolutely killed the XBI trade. And, David had bet big. He came out publicly and said this. In the low 70s, it went to 103, and obviously it's fallen apart since then. But David, why were you so bullish on biotech?
Massive underperformance, tons of cash in all these big healthcare companies that don't have the organic growth they'd like and need to go out and buy it. So that's why we're seeing like Pfizer buy Seagen and all these big mergers. And after 3 years of massive underperformance, I anticipated some merger mania, some good news in a lot of different areas like weight loss, like cancer, and thought this has to play catch up after 3 years of not like cute underperformance. I mean, almost like treated like a redheaded stepchild, like it didn't matter, like it didn't help us fight COVID. So I thought, I actually started XBI 65s, I think. I just thought risk reward. If I see it going to 100, right? I know it was 101, but just call it for even numbers' sake. See it going to 100 and this index is 70. we're talking about literally like almost a 50% move on an index. This seems like the best investment out there for me, risk reward. So, and I don't have to make a binary bet on one company. So that's why I went with it. And, then I said, let me not drink the Kool-Aid. Interest rates aren't going in my direction yet because biotech does need lower rates. And after I saw that move, I said, it's time, and I took profits.
Yeah, and I hope everybody can appreciate this because as David said before, this game, it's not just about picking stocks and ETFs. You need to manage things along the way, and you need to know when to get out. So, David, let's go to a name in the news and will be very important tomorrow, which is Micron. So, David, he called it under 100. It just hit 157 plus. Now, David, you said very specifically, I didn't hear anybody else use this phrasing, but you said Micron will be re-rated like Apple.
That's because I'm old. I was around for Micron. That's why you hear a lot of people say it.
Yeah. I think I don't know, you guys out there remember Micron from the 80s and 90s, but yeah, it was a stock. So David, what made you think it would be re-rated like Apple?
So Micron's involved in this mundane technology, right? That's like this old school memory that really is just like margins have just compressed over the years. It's just like this, right? It's been commoditized. It's not like this super technology. Via Nvidia and AI, they've kind of had this reawakening. Not only has memory pricing gotten much stronger and DRAM pricing, but they have this whole tailwind with AI that they never had previously, right? And I said, this type of growth, Micron actually has been trading at like 10, 15 times. If there is an AI wave and they're really involved with Blackwell and included with all Blackwell sales, and you can count on earnings growth, and it's not just an old mundane company with commoditized memory that is like a whole growth vehicle, this could trade at 25, 30 times and actually get re-rated, just like we saw Apple. A lot of people forget. Apple for like 5 years traded 14 to 17 times earnings. Everyone's like, this is dumb. This is Apple. But it did. And then instead of being valued as a hardware company, the services business came around, and all of a sudden they got a software valuation, right? And it got re-rated with a much higher multiple. And I said, there's no reason Micron off this AI tailwind doesn't get re-rated. Higher earnings, great news, higher stock price, plus more dependable earnings, less cyclical. We can probably get re-rated with a higher multiple per dollar of earnings. This is going to get re-rated. That one I felt really strong about.
Okay, David, we're going to force you to show your age also one more time because Dell. So sure. David was a huge bull on Dell on the way up. And he also said very specifically, and I think everybody in Inner Circle heard this 100 times. He talked about it on live streams, that it would outperform SMCI. So I just pulled up a chart on the fly. Dell has crushed SMCI, but importantly, David told us to sell Dell into earnings. So why did you like Dell so much on the way up, and why were you yelling at us to sell it into earnings?
So I just saw a change, and it was in the environment. And what I mean by the environment, during the AI event, Jensen spoke all about Dell. We were seeing tons of news flow from Dell. Jensen pointed out Michael Dell as opposed to talking about SMCI. And you could see the stock continue to go higher, and also was trading at a pretty low multiple and was starting to catch fire. And SMCI had already been discovered and had this massive move, actually from 100 once upon a time, all the way to over 1,000. I thought, the trading's telling us the story. If you're going for the racks and you want to be a part of this AI theme, then you want to be with the racks of Dell, not SMCI for right now. I didn't say forever, but for right now, everyone's trying to catch the bottom in SMCI. I said, just ignore SMCI. There'll be a moment and we'll buy it. For right now, own Dell. Stop futzing around figuring out where the bottom is, because Dell was making new highs, pull back, new highs, pull back, new highs, pull back. So it just said to own Dell. And then after stock was up like 70% in a straight line, I know I wasn't in any anymore. I said, I don't see a good risk reward for earnings. You're gonna have to give out free ice cream and maybe like trips to Michael Dell's house to make this work. It just, I don't see the upside. So I just said, even if it goes higher, 70% move into numbers, it's not going to be an easy call. So that's why I said it's risk reward into earnings, not worth it.
Okay, all right. So our friend Crawdaddy is saying, why don't they talk about what's next instead of winter? So we're going to get to that in just a second, but I hope you guys appreciate how well David articulates what's happening below the surface, like understanding when biotech is in play, when to get out, when something like SMCI is about to fall apart. So we're going to go through what David sees from here. So David, it's actually quite a busy week. We have the PCI, we have Micron. What is your game plan for, say, the next 2 weeks?
So the two big events for me the rest of the week are PCE and Micron. I think Micron's going to have excellent numbers, but we're pricing in a $16 move. So I think if Micron is not ripping pre the numbers, right, I think it can actually be a $155, $160 stock and actually get paid by option, but it's a matter of not being up $5, $7 into the print, because option buyers have to beware that it might be a seller's event, meaning the stock's up 10, 12, not 16, and you don't get paid. PCE, it's important. Here's what I saw. I saw a hint of rotation yesterday, but it lasted for a day. It was like musical chairs. So I want to say I'd like to see more movement out of small cap, and I'm constructive, and that's what I'm looking at, but I'll let it tell me. Here's what I see. I see biotech separating itself from small caps and IWM. I see XBI trying to get over this 95, and I think XBI with a decent environment, meaning some soft economic numbers that tell us maybe we will get 1 or 2 cuts. I think XBI is going to 103, 105 in the next month or so. I originally thought it was the end of the year, but it's trading really well. So that's something I'm looking to buy on any weakness. I'll probably do some tomorrow. I think Nvidia, which, I was full-blown aggressive yesterday. I think it might stall here. If you look, there are a couple averages right here, 127, 128. I wouldn't be shocked if I saw a pullback to 122 or so. I also think that the Qs still are going to correct. Now, Micron may stall that, but I'm actually looking for weakness again in the Qs. I don't think we're going to new highs. I think the market might kind of digest and breathe. The same way Apple actually went to 220 and then pulled back all the way to like 207 the other day, or yesterday, whenever it was. So I am more a seller of strength. I'm a buyer of dips. And I want to make it really clear. It's because I'm not an investor up here. I was for the last many months, but there's not a lot I like to invest in. So I'm looking for the market to maybe show some weakness. I don't know if the PCE will be hot and show it. I don't know what makes the market pull back, but I don't see a lot to invest in. I see a lot of great trading opportunities. Here's a couple. Snap, I bought it today. We're now 60 cents from all-time highs. They had a great quarter. Snap is known to run into the quarter, and they finally had a good quarter. I think Snap, which doesn't report till August, I believe. I have to double check that, but I might be right. I think Snap makes a new high before earnings. I looked at a firm today. Not in love with it, but after this rumored deal with Apple, I could see a firm trading up to 40 again. So there's a lot of cute ideas I'm looking at. There's not a lot of ideas I love. Everyone wants Amazon to go through 191. When it does, it does. I'm not in a rush to. So I'm a day-by-day, week-by-week guy, and it's paying. It's paying well. Like Nvidia, if you chatted with me on Friday and yesterday, I saw tons of opportunity. I saw it in Nvidia. I saw it in Apple. Here we are. NASDAQ just rallied 220. I'm not a guy who thinks the market just goes up to the moon without stopping. I think we're in an area where it's tough to just buy high and sell higher. So I'm doing a bit less and waiting for my spots. And that sometimes means 1 or 2 days a week, I kill it, then I sit back and wait for an opportunity rather than force it. So what I see is a market that might bend a bit lower. I saw the financial strong yesterday. I own JPM at 135. I own Citigroup at like 51, 52. I get it. They trade at 1 times book. Some are still cheap compared to the S&P, but they're not cheap to me. I'm not dying to buy the financials here. I like XBI as an investment. I think Snap's going to break out. I'm a buyer of Nvidia. If it ever wants to dip again, I may sell some after hours tonight because this 127.40 is pretty insane. And I should mention this. So our biggest winner, which you didn't put up there this year, that I should say I helped finance, and one of my partners owns like 1 million shares or something, is Immunome. And the CEO of Seagen, the guy who founded the company, who built it, who turned it into a multi-billion-dollar company that was sold to Pfizer for $42 billion, Clay Siegel, he is now the CEO. We were huge buyers between 6 and 8. The stock ran to 30. I had to twist some arms, but I told people it's time to sell like 70, 80% of your stock. But I love it long term, so definitely hold some. It has crashed, and it's now about like 11 and a half, $12. And it is a long-term investment. But if you want to back a guy who is a guru in biotech, I don't mean like a cute guru. I mean like a guy who built a company from scratch, who built one of the most important ADC portfolios there is. If you know anything about cancer, you know how important that is. Who's now running a company with a few $100 million market cap. His last company got sold for $42 billion. So since the guy needs to know something now, I love that as an investment. If you want to buy a good chart, don't buy that stuff. If you want to buy something with multiple, like huge upside, with a ton of cash, with a rock star CEO, I love Immunome here too. That's some of what I'm looking at.
Okay, guys. So you got David's game plan for the Qs, XBI, Snap, Nvidia, Immunome. So you definitely got value. David showed you what he can do with all the trade examples we showed. So now we're going to ask you the big question. So who wants to join Inner Circle? Type a yes in the chat. And yes, Anthony asked the big question. What is the ticker? Immunome is IMNM. So India, Michael, Nancy, Michael. So we are going to talk about now how you can actually join Inner Circle. So this is how it works. So normally we require an application to join Inner Circle, but we are waiving it for attendees of this event, so you don't have to apply. So this is what you get. So you get live trading room access with stock and options ideas. You get access to David, Kira Turner, and Rick March. There's the longer term ideas like Amazon, Dell, Micron, and there's regular short-term plays and Nvidia, Tesla, SMCI, etc. You get real-time analysis of earnings, Fed decisions, econ data, and you get access to a community of some of the smartest traders you'll ever meet. Now, if we're also talking about a big emphasis on the now. For example, 2 minutes before this call, David was breaking down the Rivian news for Inner Circle. I was actually worried he was going to be late, but he was going through everything you needed to know about Rivian, including what it can mean for Tesla, et cetera, et cetera. So, and this is what people tell us they love. Biggest thing is there's a focus on A+ ideas with the right risk reward. There's not 58,000 charts a day and 28 million ideas. This is the best of the best, and that's what we care about right now. Also, big focus on money management, because as David said before, it's not just about finding the most beautiful chart. You need to manage your money properly, or you will lose. Another big thing, David prevents people from making those $10,000 plus mistakes, like buying Dell into earnings at 170. That's the type of thing David wants to stop you from doing. Also, everybody is crystal clear about their opinions. When they like a stock, there's no confusion. They say, I like this, I don't like this, I'm getting long, I'm getting short, that's it. And also, lots of fun. The room is a lot of fun. We laugh, we learn, we earn. If you don't have at least 2 or 3 belly laughs a day inside Inner Circle, I'd be shocked, because David is more entertaining than he knows. I think some people on this call know what I'm talking about, but David is a funny guy. So is Kira and Rick. Okay, so who joined? So Inner Circle is members from all over the world. There's pro traders, hedge fund managers, family office heads, corporate executives. We even have professional poker players, doctors, VCs, entrepreneurs, lawyers, doctors, everybody. So now, again, we have our share of laughs, but the focus is idea generation and making money. Now, if you're a beginner, you're still getting your feet wet, Inner Circle is not for you. I can't emphasize that enough. It's not a place for beginners. It's not for those with sub $100,000 accounts. And if you're cowboys looking to gamble, if you're looking for guaranteed wins, Inner Circle, absolutely not for you. And we reserve the right to refund and remove people who are not the right fit. Now, we've had very good luck. We've had very few problem people, but we will remove people if they are troublemakers or they are not the right fit. So if you join today, we ask that you just be cool. Observe for a few days, then start interacting. Make sure you focus on ideas and not random chatter, and don't ask simple questions you can Google. And of course, just be friendly, because most people in Inner Circle are very nice. And Jesse said it best. Now, Jesse Martin is actually an ex-professional. I believe he was a World Series of Poker champion or very high ranked. And he said, no one out there is putting their neck on the line like David, giving clear, real-time, actionable info on the hardest trades in the market. And when David gets loud, pay attention. This is a real message from Friday. Thank you for being so loud this week on what you saw coming. That helped people get out of the way. And you also get ideas from Kira and Rick. We haven't even mentioned
about AMD. That was a huge one. But anyway, I'll shut up.
We are David. We are limited on time.
Okay.
So we have an AMD trade. So yeah, we haven't even talked about Kira and Rick, because we could have the same event with just Kira's calls and then another one with just Rick's calls. So Kira had a huge AMD put trade on June 11th. It went from 80 cents to $2 overnight. And just yesterday, she took NVDL, which is a leveraged Nvidia ETF. She took a few points there. Everybody remember that huge Apple move after WWDC? Rick nailed it with calls. And so again, Inner Circle is not for everybody. The offer is limited to 25 people. So only 25 people can take the special offer I'm about to show you, and David is adamant about this, that we want to be the best. We don't want to be the biggest. We don't want this to feel like we're in a football stadium with 25,000 people. The emphasis is on quality. So let's talk about pricing. So Inner Circle is $6,000 a year and never discounted. So everybody pays full price. But you can start today with a $700 monthly subscription, which gives you 30 days of ideas from the team, plus full community access. But, we like to make it fun, so we're going to add in some goodies to make it a better deal for you. So let's talk about bonuses. So if you start today for $700, we're going to also give you 1 year of David's Epic Trades newsletter. That's where you get his top options ideas. Just had a big trade in Amazon. This is a $1,497 bonus. It's included with the $700 purchase. So number 2, David's going to do a live coaching session on July 9th at 4:30 p.m. Eastern time. And this is only available to the 25 people who take this offer. We have been considering a coaching program for the future, and this is a chance to see what it's all about. And again, this is only available to the 25 people who take this offer, because David is amazing at helping people with their specific challenges, especially when it comes to their mindset and their money management. So let's go through some more tweets about David. K9 said, you won't find a better coach, no matter if your journey started 10 minutes ago or 10 years. Joe said, David is an excellent teacher who gives you the ability to improve and grow rather than just follow trades. He emphasizes you have to do the work. And our electric friend said, DP is a genius. I'm shocked at how much I learned in 30 days. I won't trade or invest without him. So you can add it up. You get 1 month of Inner Circle. You get 1 year of the Epic Trades newsletter. And you get this group coaching session with David, which is only available to people who go to t3live.com/circle. It's a $2,197 value, not including the coaching session. We're just going to call it priceless for fun. So this is $700 for only 25 people. So again, once we hit 25 people, the offer turns itself off. So you want to get in line now. Last time we did an offer like this, it sold out fast. So you want to get in ASAP. So why now? This is the big question. This is really the biggest question everybody should be asking now, is why join Inner Circle now? Because I think David undersold this. So this is a pivotal week, because the Inner Circle is going to be watching Micron. Like nobody cares anything else that's going on in the world tomorrow at 4:00. Micron earnings, it's going to move Nvidia, it's going to move SMCI, it's going to move Broadcom and other names. And they can't guarantee it, but odds are the second that hits, David will have an idea in Nvidia, maybe Micron itself.
It should be fair. Like one thing we're good at is we trade after hours. I mean, they're pros, right? They're guys managing real money. So some of my best calls I've been at this a lot of years, so I know what to expect. I read numbers well. Some of our best trades are after hours. Now, I tell people, if you're new, if you're not managing real money, I don't want you trading like a cowboy after hours, but after hours, we've had some, I mean, monstrous winners. Sorry to interrupt, but yeah, there's often after hour action for us when it comes to earnings season.
No, that's quite all right, David. Yes, and these faster people love these fast reactions to earnings because obviously it's a time to make fast money. You have to be fast, you have to be courageous, but if you want to trade earnings reactions, you want to be in Inner Circle. So we actually just had our first person joined. So we are down to 24 spots left. So if you're interested, we suggest either hitting the link t3live.com/circle or talking to my friend Amber, and she can help you out, answer all of your questions. She's helped onboard hundreds of Inner Circle members. So definitely talk to her. So again, pivotal week, we have Micron. Then there's GDP, durable goods, Nike earnings. Now, the Nike earnings is actually underrated because I will say there's a 40% chance there's a Lululemon trade off that Nike earnings report and maybe ONON. So our friend Matthew. So I don't know if, David, do you know Matthew Dunn? He just put in the chat, Twitter. So Matthew was our friend. He is the first person that took this deal.
Oh.
And our friend Alex here, he said, thank you. Just joined a few days ago. Looking forward to being part of Inner Circle. So Alex, we're so glad to have you. So let's get to that PCE day. So the last PCE day, which was on May 31st, was an awesome day for Inner Circle. So Rick, David, and Kira, they all bought because the report came in hot, I believe, and they took SMCI puts that went from $4 to $24. Obviously, not everybody bought at the bottom and sold at the top.
I forgot about that day.
How could you forget, David? That was one of my favorite Inner Circle days. And I actually feel like an idiot because I didn't get this trade. So why? Yeah, David, what is wrong with me? Why do I work at T3? Why am I not an Inner Circle customer?
I don't know. Sometimes I do wonder why you guys don't trade more. But yeah, that was a good trade.
Okay, so we are down to 22 spots. Our friend Aria just joined. Tom just joined. So yeah, so we're down to 22 spots. Again, we only have 25 spots in total. So thank you guys for joining. You are absolutely going to love working with David. So again, you want to be ready for this PCE report with David, Kira, and Rick. So you can see on the screen, DP, fantastic call on SMCI Lottos. That PCE, David can't even remember because we're so busy. So again, if you want to lock in the special offer, t3live.com/circle. So we're going to go through what some people have said. So our friend Jesse, who from New York, now in LA, my family and I recently bought our dream house in Los Angeles with an ocean view, which is ridiculous if you consider the real estate prices in Los Angeles. Enrique said back in March 2020, at the darkest moments of the crash, David gave me and others what turned out to be the best trade of my career. Timely entry and washed out SOXL, which is a semiconductor ETF. Also remembers David talking about Nvidia back in 2014. Way before anybody else.
He bought a yacht with that SOXL trade. By the way, I didn't hold that long enough. He bought a yacht. Sorry, just had to say it. That's
okay. Yeah, he bought a yacht?
He bought a yacht with that. Yeah, because he has balls of steel. Can I say that on it? Yeah, whatever. Anyway, he held SOXL for like 2 years after COVID. One of the sickest trades I've ever seen.
Oh my God. All right. David, you just ruined my day. I didn't need to hear that. So,
all right, I'm pissed about it too. I didn't buy a yacht with. I sold it 1,000,000 points too soon.
Okay, all right. So our friend Larry from New Jersey said, in a few short weeks, my first week's 5% loss turned into a significant gain. Yeah, so not everybody becomes a millionaire overnight. Larry had a rough start, and then he turned it around into a gain. So yeah, yeah, not everything is sunshine and rainbows, as Rocky would say. Our friend Naveed, Naveed is a super fan. We love him. He's one of our best customers at T3. We hope he stays around with us forever. He's an amazing guy. He said he moved to the US in 2010. And never thought I would be able to attain financial freedom this early in my career. Been able to take amazing vacations with my family and have increased my charity work. We've heard that from a lot of people that they donate a lot of money to charity with what they make from Inner Circle. So yeah, so there is some good doing out of this. It's not all about money. So our friend Maggie just joined. Maggie, can't wait to see you tomorrow. Welcome aboard. We have 21 spots left. So if you're interested, again, t3live.com/circle. Darren from New York said, surprised by the straightforward nature of the interaction and explanation. So David, I'm going to actually do a quick little on the fly demo. So just so everybody knows what the room looks like, so you can see right here. So if you thought David was BSing about the snap calls, he said it right here. You know, Rick got in 2 minutes early. So David, we're actually going to give credit to Rick on this one. Rick beat you by 2 minutes.
Oh, it was teamwork. Actually, he really did help with that one.
Yeah. And another thing I'll just say, there's a guy, Craig, inside the room who's amazing. He's been in Rivian, and some of the room members followed him. So the people who in the room are super, super smart. So Craig was in Rivian. Some people followed him, which is awesome because we love seeing people working together. So that's just one of the best things about Inner Circle is that you're actually interacting with smart people every single day. Okay, Brad from California. We're staying and eating at places we never would have experienced before you. So this is great. So when Brad and his wife are going out for lobster and porterhouse steaks, they're thinking about Inner Circle. They're thinking about David and SMCI. He said, you know, I want to let you know you're making our 34th wedding anniversary special, which is very nice. David Prince is keeping marriages together, which we never would have thought when we started Inner Circle. But David is saving marriages and families. Michael from New York said, I learned a whole new way, the correct way to trade and prosper. Cecil from California said, I even made the 1-year member fee in just 2 or 3 days. Zoyce said, I have recommended IC to many friends and they all thank me. Ariel from Mexico, one of our international fans, Inner Circle taught me to focus on a few great ideas. I am happy and could not ask for more. And again, I can't emphasize this enough. If you feel like you are being overloaded with information and you don't know what to do because you're following 50 people on Twitter, you subscribe to a whole bunch of newsletters, you're watching TV, but if you want to focus on just like the one great idea of the day, you want to be inside Inner Circle because that's what it's all about, is about focusing on the best of the best ideas. Again, another message from Darren from New York, cannot think more highly of the 3 moderators and the chat. Yeah, we love David. Rick and Kira are also awesome. They do a fantastic job in the room, coming up with ideas and generating trades. So our friend Andre just joined. So we are down to 20 spots. So again, highly recommend if you have questions, I'm going to type this into the chat to everybody. If you have questions, you're going to email my friend Amber at t3live.com. I'm typing this in the chat to everybody. Make sure you contact her if you have any questions about anything, if you want to make sure this is right for you. So Josh from New Jersey said, Inner Circle is a great group of traders and genuine people. Lee from California, genuinely interested in helping people become better traders and make money. Pavlo from Ukraine said, it cools me down when I feel overconfident and may lose discipline. And on the other hand, they heat me up when it's necessary. This is another huge benefit of Inner Circle, that if you feel like you're getting way too elated when the market's going up and you're just tempted to chase a stock like Nvidia or Dell or SMCI when it's at the peak, and then you see it the bottom fall out from under you, David will help stop you from making those decisions, because he's going to hit you upside the head and say, nope, you need to do the opposite thing. You need to cool down. That's a very big thing in trading. So Rod from Utah, my favorite thing is the trading ideas offered by all of them and the character of the room. Rob from Canada said, David's comments and warnings reel me back to reality. Again, if you have trouble coming back to reality and thinking rationally, you want to join Inner Circle at t3live.com/circle. This might be the best testimonial our company has ever received. Charles from California said, we granted just over $10 million this year to about 90 nonprofits. I don't know how he keeps track of 90 nonprofits. This is amazing. So you have indirectly greatly helped a large number of people less fortunate than we. Amazing. Aaron from North Carolina said, what started as a $300K to $400K dream home turned into a $1 million dream home. So much love from my fam to you all. So again, guys, add it up. Spots are going fast. Already 5 spots are already gone. They'll probably be gone tonight or tomorrow morning. You get 1 month of Inner Circle. You get 1 year of the Epic Trades newsletter with David's top options ideas. Plus, you get the group coaching session with David on July 9th. It's a $2,200 total value. It's $700 for you today. 25 people are allowed to join. We only have 20 spots left, so they are going fast. So we urge you to get in now. If you are interested, again, just go to t3live.com/circle, t3live.com/circle, and you can join today. Okay, so David, I'm going to start off the Q&A with a tough question from me. So how do you know what to focus on? Is it just about the calendar, the news flow? How do you know what to focus on?
Look, I have a morning routine for God knows how many years that includes going through a group of charts from all my watch lists that include biotech and restaurants and solar and semis and software, then looking at research via Bloomberg and briefing and fly on the wall, seeing what upgrades and downgrades matter, then looking at the calendar, figuring out what economic numbers or earnings are coming up, and then trying to break it down, because the whole thing is focus. What's important today, what's important to plan for the rest of the week, and what's important to plan for the rest of the month. And this way we can be like, this is how we might make money today. This is how we can position to make money for the next week. And this is how perhaps we can position to make money for the next month. And that's how I do it. And I utilize Twitter, I utilize research, I utilize even CNBC.com to incorporate a morning call that I do every morning at 8 o'clock, so we can kind of have a focus for the day, week, and month.
Okay, guys, and we recommend that you pop your questions in the chat. So if you have any questions for David or T3 or anything, just pop your questions right in the chat. So David, because we've gone over a lot of names today, Nvidia, SMCI. Can you talk a little bit about the coverage of names you follow? Like, is there a specific universe or is it flexible?
No, so one thing that's good is I learned years ago, a lot of people like trade 4 or 5 stocks. Like I couldn't disagree more. As time goes on, our job is to learn. So I am very versed in software. I am extremely versed in semis. I started off learning semis back when Whittington ran the most important semi desk. So whether it be software, whether it be semis, whether it be solar, whether it be cannabis, where I financed a lot of these companies that are public in the private market, whether it be the financials, I follow all those groups, as well as crypto proxies and the Riots and the Maras and the Coinbases, as well as a lot of retail names, from the Lululemons to the Nikes to the Home Depots to the Crocs to the Costcos, and a million other groups, right? Then I have a whole small cap list of what I call past hot names that still interest me. Those are the Affirms and the Snaps, and today Rivian, right? And then let's see, other groups. Biotech is, of course, a huge focus of mine. It's been a winner through the year. So there's about 10 groups of stocks I am very intimately familiar with, that I have traded for years, that at different times, depending on interest rate curve, the news, where the markets are, I am sometimes more involved or less involved. One of our biggest wins this year, the past couple of months, was ENPH. Solar's broken now and I have no interest, but it was a huge win to us. We also were in First Solar. So it depends on what's going on in the macro landscape and earnings, but no sector's off limits to us. I may do a little less with gold, silver, oil. I recently bought USO when it was 70 and it ripped, but I would say I do less in oil than most people. But I'm pretty equal opportunist. Hell, I trade steel stocks like Nucor for years, so anything.
Steel stocks? Oh, that's crazy. David, you really are showing your age now. Okay, guys, we have 19 spots left. 19 spots left. They're going fast. Our friend Phil just joined. So Phil, thank you very much. So Heisenberg just asked, we have a real meth lord here. What do you see in solar stocks? David just answered. He said they look like
I see a
trash.
problem, right? There was a big earnings disappointment and a pre-announcement. I see rates not coming down fast enough. The good news is the stocks are pricing it in. So I've told people this. Back when the stock was 100, it went to 140. Now it's back to 100. If you can look out a year and you want to invest, I think solar works. If you care about the next 6 months, some of these, first off, you got to look at the balance sheet. Some of these are broken. SEDG had to do a convert at the lows, which took it down another 20%. So you got to know the balance sheet. You got to know they're not loaded with debt. You got to know they're not going to do a million offerings, and then there's a couple I like long term. Short term, they are broken and toast, and the only one that is really viable, maybe via the chart, would be First Solar, but it's a rough patch to be in right now.
Okay, how about the mix of equity ideas and options ideas? What would you say that is?
First, I want to say I try and be thoughtful about this. Meaning, there's certain times someone will be like, "Oh, I see you love Nvidia, but you know, I don't want to buy the stock, and I do options." Not every time we do an idea does it equate to options. Like the IV, the time. There are times where option pricing goes berserk, and I'll be like, "Listen, step away. Don't do the options. Either buy the stock or don't." Then there are times I'll say, like an earnings report, I don't feel comfortable taking risk via stock. Let's only do it in options. So I would say on average, maybe 70 to 75% stock, but Rick will often balance that out because Rick's about 70% options, right? So I might be 70% stock and Rick might be 70% options, and I believe Kira's somewhere in the middle. But if there are moments where maybe the market's overheated, right? And I expect a pullback, but I want to put on some longs I like, excuse the dog. I will often do that via options so I can limit my risk. So it does change depending on the climate. I will say that 2023 and the end of 22, I was 90% stock because I was so bullish because I felt we were due such a big rally. Now that we've come so far, I use options a little bit more because I like ENPH, right? I liked it recently at 112 to 114, and I got pretty sized. But I knew the fundamentals may not be ready, so I did it via options more than stock and rode it to the mid 130s. And I was comfortable because I knew something bad might happen in solar versus had I owned many thousands of shares, I wouldn't be comfortable. So it really depends on the idea and what's going on. Last night with Nvidia, I just bought stock all day and even after hours and did buy options. Rick did options. So it depends on the idea and the climate.
Okay, guys. And again, spots are going fast. We have just 17 spots left, 25 in total. Then we're going to be shutting down registration. But again, if you're interested, I encourage you to go to t3live.com/circle or email Amber. She put her email in the chat and she can answer any questions. She can let you know if Inner Circle makes sense for you. Okay, so David, I'm going to ask kind of an odd question. I've never heard anybody ask on a webinar before. Who should not join Inner Circle?
That's a great question. I'll tell you who shouldn't join Inner Circle. So we didn't talk about this part, but I'm just going to say it. So the only reason I'm still doing it is because like two of my best friends in the world are actually part of Inner Circle. I've made like some indelible like relationships that'll last a lifetime, right? It's not about the money. And the people that do well tend to really have a very easy personality. They can express themselves. They cannot try and take over a room. No one's bigger than the next guy. And I know people, I've had a guy on the chat who manages 100 grand who's made me like almost $1 million off some crazy idea. Like he took one of my ideas and came up with an option idea on it. So here's what I'm getting at. I feel like the people that do well and thrive are people that are open-minded, that are humble. There's a million guys, I'll be like, I don't know this area well. You're so much brighter than me on this area. What do you think? X, right? There's some no joke players on the chat. So I'm going to tell you, someone who thinks they know everything, who's, thinks, because there's so many people who make millions of dollars on the chat. If you think you're a big shot and you're bigger than everyone else, I'm not saying someone's going to actually come out and say that, but you're not right for the chat because it's so not about that. Occasionally we get those guys who try and impress us. There are tons of people on the chat who know people who make tons of money. So no one's, if you're out to impress anybody or if you're a big shot, we're probably not for you. How's that?
That is perfect. Yeah, I will say this. One of the interesting things is trading rooms, there are sometimes personality conflicts because, tempers flare, people argue, but the chemistry inside Inner Circle is amazing. And it's awesome to see how people will work together and cooperate. Like before we showed you the chat with Rivian, where one guy had a great idea in Rivian a long time ago, and some people participated. So there is great chemistry. So if you want to actually connect with other traders, so one thing we've heard from a lot of people out there is that they actually don't even know anybody else who trades. A lot of people are going it alone, and that's very dangerous. So if you want to meet people to bounce ideas off of, because it's not just what you get from David, Kira, and Rick, you will learn from other people in the chat, because the people in the chat are very, very smart, very successful, and have a lot of them have very unique expertise in industries like construction, infrastructure, software, as in like you might meet somebody who actually does cybersecurity, things like that. So there is a lot of on the ground knowledge from people inside the community. So David, we're kind of looking back at like we're going on the 4th anniversary of Inner Circle this year. So what's been the most rewarding part of it all?
It's always the same thing. So like I've been in the business 30 years now, right? I've done a lot of deals where you make like Wellington or Soros 5 or 10 million or 20 million. I'm not a big shot, so I don't do huge deals, but on some of the deals I've done, those fund make 5 million here, 10 million, 50 million there. And they'll be like, thanks. Oh, great deal. Appreciate it. Like whatever. The only reason I do this still is because I've met people who are like, my life's changed forever. When the guy Jesse is like, bought the house of his dreams. Or another buddy of mine who's a doctor, doesn't have to practice medicine, he trades most of the time. Or like another buddy of mine who, honestly, I have to tell this story too many times, but it's the most special to me. He had cancer and lives in a socialist country, and we raised him money because I couldn't just hand him money. I wanted to, but it just felt illegal and like I was crossing boundaries. Raised him money on GoFundMe, gave him money, then taught him how to trade. He turned like 25 grand into 100 grand and fought his cancer successfully, then got a reoccurrence of cancer and COVID. We pushed that account again, and the guy made a lot of money. And bottom line, he would have had to, he's in Hungary, he would have had to like wait 2 years to see the right doctors. He made enough money. The guy survived. I didn't save his life, but he credits me with changing, being a big part of why he's here. And now he's helping people in the Ukraine who, emigrate, who are fleeing the country for safety. So there's just been special moments like that. That the only reason I keep doing, honestly, because it's like cool to touch someone's life and actually have them be like, this is what you did for me. This is like Immunome. I have a few friends who, they could not work the rest of the year and be really happy and travel the world. So when you can touch it and see a smile on a person's face, it's so different than writing a check and donating money and doing things like, I actually feel like maybe I'm doing something decent in a small way in the world. I'm a nobody, but this is my small way of making the world better. Because no real traders or hedge fund managers are going to do services. Anyone knows anything. And I used to say the same thing. The only reason I do it is because of that stuff.
Okay, all right. So here's a good question from Tracy. She said, are there any members who are struggling to become successful?
Tracy, listen to this one. I got a buddy who turned a few hundred grand into probably several million. And recently, 2 biotechs that are broken, but I love them long term, he just kept buying more. And the same biotechs that he bought more of, I said, stop. Focus on what's working on Nvidia and et cetera. And he ignored me. I get guys like this all the time. Tracy, happens all the time. I used to be one of them. And they're like, he loved this name and it's going to bounce. And it once went from 5 to 30, I'll buy more. And he just bought more. And it's his account. I don't know how much it's down, but it probably lost 30% in the past month, where most people are killing it. There is always someone too smart to listen who is not going to do well. So Tracy, I guarantee you that beyond the people I know about, there's a few. Most people do really well, but there's definitely people who have a tough time. And it's usually always the same. I make myself available to people who don't check in, who don't ask, who don't manage money in an efficient way, that kind of start to gamble, and people who think they know everything. I don't know everything. They don't know everything. It's usually the same people that come in maybe not humble enough, who don't ask enough questions. But yes, there's always people that have a tough time.
Yeah, and I'll just make this clear, because I know if you've been watching.
Actually, I got to stop. So Tracy, the reason I know this, and it's like, if anyone tells you they're not people having a tough time, the stock picking I find easy. Ask anyone that knows me. This has been going on for years. It's always been easy. Managing is the hard part. And that took me a long time. The first 10 years, I sucked. So if managing money is really what deciphers the difference between success and failure, meaning when to size up, when to size down, when to take a loss, when to hold winners. You can guarantee no matter how good I am or Kira is or Rick is or the ideas are, there'll always be someone struggling, because I can guarantee you, and I can't legally do this, but this I can, that someone didn't listen to me on Nvidia and decided that this morning when they saw 120, 121, they had to sell it all. And I can also tell you there's someone who probably thought, my God, 124, this is too big of a bounce. It's broken. I'm going to short it, even though I didn't say it, just because they know so much. And now they're probably sucking wind at 127. So emotions make it. So there'll always be people who don't succeed even in a good environment, because 90% of the game is how you run your money. It's not the stock ideas. It's how you handle winners and losers. Sorry, but just needed to be said.
That's okay. Okay, and I want to be, I'll do my own rant now that David's done with his. So we do not guarantee success. I know you've seen the people on TikTok and Instagram that promise you're going to make $25,000 a week without doing any work. Like, we do not guarantee success. Like, that does not exist in this business. If you think there is a such thing as guaranteed success, you are an idiot. Don't join. Like, this is not going to work for you. Like, there is risk in every single idea, including David. So, like, I'll give you some advice. If you want to join Inner Circle or anything else in the universe, is that, like, join and watch. And if the success is going to be there, like, you'll see it. And if it's not for you, it's not for you. Like, you don't have to make a lifetime commitment to this. Like, get your feet wet slowly. Start small. But, like, we do get these questions, like, how much am I going to make next week? Like, we can't tell you.
Actually, no, but it's a pretty sophisticated chat. This is not really for you if it's that. I'm going to be honest with you. Most people on the chat, I got no problem saying, my friends are like, if you're going to do this and continue to do it, you should charge like 40 or 50 grand, make it make sense. 6 grand is a dumb amount. So they don't have to ask that. Like, most people, if they focused on Nvidia today, whatever we charge doesn't matter, because they made more than that in a day. But I want to make it clear. I actually don't want people who are thinking that small, not because I'm fancy or anything. It's just, that's not our group. Like, they're real people trading real money. No one's thinking, I need to make 22,000 today. They probably make it and more, but no one thinks like that. That's kind of a very amateurish way to trade. So that's not how we trade.
Yeah, we have to bring that up just because we do get those questions. Like, I need to make $10,000 a week. David, what do I do? So that doesn't exist. So guys, again, there's 16 spots left. T3live.com/circle if you want to join. So David, we're about like 20 minutes
over. You got to be done with me.
Okay.
Are you almost
David,
done with me?
I'm done with you, David. David, you are fired from this event.
Okay.
So you are free to go enjoy your evening. David, thank you. We appreciate your time.
No, was there one other thing? I'm sorry. I didn't mean to be rude. Was there something else, or we really are done? Okay.
No, we're good. I'll stick on to answer any more questions, David, but you
No,
are
but does
good.
anyone, I don't want to be rude. We've gone through all this. Anyone, were there any other questions, or I'm good?
Yeah.
There are no other questions.
All right. We'll give you 15 seconds. If anybody has any more questions for David, let us know. Nish is saying, thank you. Amazing talk. So guys, let us know in the chat.
Thank you for joining. Truly.
What did you think of this little party? So Anthony says, thanks. Yeah.
All right. I think I'm off the hook.
Wait. Somebody's going to ask a question at the last second. That's what always happens. Okay. There's actually 15 spots left. I have to update the Google slide here. So there's 15 spots left. So guys, again.
And no more questions. And I appreciate you doing this, brother.
Okay, David, you know I love you. David and I are both New York guys. We're both a little crazy, so I love having David. So, David, I am removing you. Thank you very much.
Thank you all for joining. I really do appreciate it. Have a great night.
All right. Thanks, David. Okay, Ari is asking, looking forward to joining the circle. When can I expect the email to sign in? You should get it momentarily. That email should be in your inbox very, very soon. So, guys, I'm just going to go over the offer very quickly. I know Amber's dying to send you the replay. So guys, again, this is what you get for $700. There's 1 month of Inner Circle. You get 1 year of the Epic Trades newsletter, which is valued at $1,500. It's a $2,200 total value. $700 for you today. $700 for you today. There are only 15 spots left. There are 15 spots left. So we want you to get in today. You could be in the room tomorrow for Micron, and then we have the PCE on Friday. So I can't emphasize enough, t3live.com/circle, t3live.com/circle. Everybody have a wonderful evening. You've been with us for 90 minutes, and we'll see you soon. Bye.